Jack, the current champion of the Ring of the Hawk, whatever the that means. If you want to get in the ring with me, get in the ring with me, and I'll make you do the job. I will knock your ass out with a brick, hit you in the dick, make you go click. Wild Wild West, New Jack.
He's gonna shove it. Yeah! He's gonna shove it.
Shove It Squad. If you can't tell from the New Jack intro today, today's Ring of the Hawk competitor has the potential to get an A. I only really want to use the New Jack intro when I think they have a shot from now on. The only twist here is that a woman could potentially be our first A. Didn't see that one coming, but I guess things have changed a lot over the years. Today's video was a Patreon request by two different people, Crispy and Courtney McCulloch. If you want to make the Hawk talk, sign up on Patreon today. And whilst you're at it, join us on the Fly into Graceland World Tour as we fly together to 100k subscribers. And if you say that you don't wanna, you're just a bunch of liars. And of course,
if you know a wrestler that can do the J-O-B to the H-A-W-K any night, any day, ha ha! Shove their name in the comments, Jack!
Alright, Ronda Rousey. Does she make the Hawk drowsy, or was her wrestling skill the opposite of lousy? And before we start, just a quick disclaimer. If you're new around here, I'm sorry. This most likely won't be for you. I'm not a genie in the bottle and I'm not going to rub you the right way. In fact, most of the time I rub people the complete wrong way. So that's my disclaimer, so if you complain now, you can shut up or I'll smack you one. Match 1, WrestleMania 34, mixed tag. Triple H and Stephanie, who come out on their little bicycles, versus the team of Kurt Angle and our girl for the day, Ronda Rousey, who's coated her mole in makeup. We've already watched this match to end our Stephanie McMahon video, and today we're starting a run with this match. The crowd are very happy to see Ronda, but they're let down as Stephanie takes cheap shots before the match starts, but lets her husband wrestle to start the match instead. Ronda is a bad partner and keeps distracting the referee whilst her partner gets beaten up. The game beats up Angle for ages, but he's unable to bring Our Lady in. It looks like she's about to get in after Kurt Angle hits a backdrop, but Stephanie pulls Ronda off the ring apron. The crowd are at fever pitch as Angle struggles towards Ronda for what seems like forever. We're finally in the match and Ronda hits a couple of clotheslines and then she drops Stephanie. Ronda gets her in the corner and carves her up like a piece of meat as the crowd are loving what they see. Ronda starts throwing Stephanie around the ring and it looks like it'll be over in a minute. Ronda isn't letting up and hits a monkey flip and then she flawlessly transitions into a submission position. The position doesn't help her though as Stephanie thumbs her in the eye and then puts on her own armbar, which doesn't make Ronda tap out. Steph hits a big time DDT on her. This is a high impact match. You have to kind of look past the fact that it's Stephanie McMahon beating up a trained fighter. If you can do that, you'll enjoy this one. Stephanie starts dominating with another submission. Steph tries to end it, but Ronda hops up and stacks her on her shoulder and hits a beautiful firewoman slam. It should be over, but Triple H breaks up the pin and he takes Ronda out. The men take over in this match again for a while now, but you aren't going to keep Ronda down for long. She wants to fight Triple H and she batters him with fast fists in the corner. Ronda takes him down with a single leg. The game is in trouble as she tries the firewoman's carry slam again, but Steph makes the save and slaps her. Ronda grits her teeth with anger and she chases Steph and throws her through the barricade. Steph no-sells it and sends her into the post. Later on in the match, the game hits the pedigree, but Ronda makes the save on the pin. The game tries to powerbomb her for her troubles, but Ronda snaps off a hurricanrana and flawlessly locks on the armbar. He doesn't tap because Steph makes the save and puts her in a sleeper. Ronda throws Steph overhead and puts her in the armbar, whilst Kurt Angle puts Triple H in the ankle lock. Surprisingly, this isn't the end of the match, and Triple H fights out the ankle lock and sends Angle into Rousey in the process. Everybody is down, but there's no need to frown. Steph throws Ronda into the post as it makes a big cracking noise. The Authority try double pedigrees, but Angle and Ronda fight it off, and Ronda puts on another armbar. You have to try and get over the ridiculousness of Steph not tapping out to an armbar of a real fighter, but then she crashes backwards and Steph does tap. A really excellent debut and a great spectacle. She did great in her first WWE match. I'm giving this an A, and I'm interested to see what else this run has in store for us. Match 2, Money in the Bank 2018 Raw Women's title match. The champion, Nia Jax, who comes out to zero reaction versus the challenger, Ronda Rousey. So a big woman versus a little woman's match. I usually like these sort of ones. Jax starts out driving Rousey into the corner. She immediately throws her across the ring and splashes her in the corner. Jax is stupid and starts trying to outstrike her as Ronda comes back and she looks like she's dumping in a nappy. Nia tries a slam, but Ronda rolls through and almost puts her in a submission. Nia eventually powers her off and hits a sit-out powerbomb. Ronda doesn't seem too good and she falls out the ring. Nia tries another powerbomb on the outside and ends up swinging her into the crowd barrier. They come back in and Nia hits a press slam for a 2 count. Rousey suddenly gets a burst of energy and tries a guillotine, but is countered when Nia slams her hard into the mat. It's all Nia in this match as she puts on a bear hug. It looks like Rousey is going to make a comeback, but she gets caught and hit with the Samoan drop. You know... Nah, actually I was okay with this. It's a 2 count. Nia tries a leg drop, but Rousey dodges it. That would have been like a small Volkswagen camper van falling on her. Ronda puts on an armbar across the ropes, but she has to break the hold. Ronda looks really confused in this match. Her confusion leads her to the top rope and she hits a big crossbody for a 2, but Nia kicks out with authority. Ronda starts going nuts and she starts boxing and then she hits a big knee. Ronda hits some sort of judo throw, but it's only another 2. The crowd went nuts for it though. She looks for the armbar, but Nia rolls it into a pin and it's almost over. Ronda then randomly hits a rock bottom and tries to lock in an armbar again. Suddenly Alexa Bliss appears in the ring and beats up both ladies with a Money in the Bank briefcase. The match is thrown out and she continues the attack, sending Ronda across the announce table. Alexa Bliss wins the title and completely steals Ronda's thunder. I really enjoyed this one. It had some high impact moves mixed with some hope spots. It might be an A or it might be a B. I can't decide and I'm feeling generous because the Hawk is a gentleman. I'll give her an A. Match 3, Alicia Fox with Alexa Bliss versus Ronda Rousey with Natalia and stupid cat ears. Alicia Fox has some really good posture, I have to say. Ronda wants to fight, but Alicia doesn't seem to be in a rush. She's wacky and she's making a load of cartoon-looking movements. She tries a slap, but it gets caught and Ronda shoves her to the mat. Fox is wasting time jumping around the ring. I have a feeling this won't be as good as the last 2 matches. Bliss cheats from the outside and Alicia Fox finally does something. It has 0 effect though and Rousey carves her up in the corner. Ronda does 3 judo throws of authority. I felt those throws. Rousey is really intense and follows Fox outside and throws her into the crowd barrier. They come back into the ring and Ronda throws Alicia again. She motions to the champion Alexa Bliss on the outside and puts on the armbar to end the match. It wasn't much of a match, but it was fun watching Alicia getting beaten up. This squash match is a C. After the match, Ronda is trying to cut a promo when Alexa Bliss jumps her, but Ronda makes short work of her and continues her promo, and then she smashes the mic so hard into the ground that it soars through the air like the Hawk. Alexa looks like a petrified rat. Match 4, SummerSlam 2018, Raw Women's title, the champion, a petrified rat, versus the challenger, Ronda Rousey, who's all business here. Alexa Bliss keeps running away and playing mind games. The match finally starts and Ronda drops her with 1 punch and Alexa bails from the match. Alexa is scared to get back in the ring, so Ronda drops to the ground and gives her every chance to come back in the ring. Bliss does come back in the ring and puts on a sleeper hold as the crowd laugh out loud. Ronda stands up and hits a powerful slam as Bliss disappears off camera. She then reappears trying to go down a hole on the outside. Rousey chases her and gets kicked in the face but no-sells it. Ronda then throws her and then goes completely nuts. She hits the punches, the judo throws and a Green Bay plunge, new move for us there. Ronda plays with her for a bit before applying the full armbar and she taps out straight away. I like this squash match, it went exactly as it should have. I would never be able to buy Alexa Bliss beating Ronda Rousey. Just because wrestling has been completely exposed nowadays doesn't mean we need to completely give up and have dumb, unrealistic things happening. This girl is 5'0" against a real fighter and she got destroyed comfortably. It's not a knock on her, it's just not realistic, and the crowd enjoyed this one too. As far as squash matches go, it's a B. Props to Alexa for making it look so painful. Ronda then jumps into the crowd to make out of her husband who looks like a young Mike Knox. Match 5, tag team match, Mickie James and Alexa Bliss with Alicia Fox who looks like a cab driver versus Natalia with cat ears and Ronda Rousey. Alexa starts out shoving Natalia into Rousey to get under her skin, but she starts out with Natalia instead. Natty looks like she could take out Alexa, but she brings Ronda in. Alexa again looks like a petrified rat and she brings Mickie James in. Ronda clotheslines her and then she hits a double suplex with her partner. Mickie does a bit better with Natalia and she gets isolated. Rousey eventually gets fed up of waiting to fight Alexa. She chases her around the ring and hits a heart attack with her partner. Ronda isn't really involved in this match. I know it's all building to her eventually getting in the match with a build, but pain is the name of the game. Ronda gets the tag and Alexa runs away again. Ronda gets sent into the crowd barrier in the ring. Alexa kicks her in the gut and sends her into the ring for a 1 count. Mickie and Alexa work together with constant kicks to the gut. It's a gut kicking special, all ribs must go. Alexa tries an arm bar and kicks her in the ribs again with her size 2s. Mickie hits a drop kick in the ribs as Alexa holds onto her. The crowd get behind her and she looks confused and starts asking Mickie what to do. Mickie smacks out Natalia. Ronda then suddenly realises what to do and hits a rolling clotheslines on Mickie James. She smacks her one in the corner but she's hurting too badly to finish her off. Then she suddenly feels better and starts throwing Mickie around. Armbar and it's over. I don't really understand why they're doing all this build to the match with Alexa Bliss. Ronda is clearly far superior and it's not going to be much of a match. Alexa kicks her in the ribs again after the match. Maybe try punching her in the gut, it seems to be my weakness, maybe it's Ronda's. Wasn't feeling this one, it's a D. Match 6, Hell in a Cell 2018, Raw Women's title. The challenger, Alexa Bliss. Oh, I see, this is how they're going to make her look like a threat, by having 2 completely random women accompany her. What these 3 women have in common is completely out of my knowledge, but so is deodorant. The champion is Ronda Rousey with Natalia. She's also selling her ribs just to give Alexa even more of a chance. Anything else? Want to snap her neck in half before the match starts? Anything to make Alexa look more like an actual threat. Ronda starts out with a quick takedown and a firewoman's carry for a 2 count. Ronda then shows she's been training with a lovely pinning attempt. Ronda drops her with a straight right, but Alexa kicks her in the ribs. Ronda fights back with a big monkey flip, but she's too distracted to put on the armbar. Bliss looks for a kick, but Ronda catches her leg and plants her overhead. Enjoying this one so far. Bliss bails to the outside and then dumps in her nappy of fear when she realises that Ronda's behind her. The crowd laugh out loud again. They come back in the ring, but Alexa is quickly back on the outside as she crashes into her little acquaintances on the outside. So far as predicted, Alexa looks like a complete joke. Bliss finally does something and she grabs Ronda's hair across the ropes. Bliss starts working on the ribs with the abdominal stretch. Ronda tries to stand up, but her ribs give out and Alexa crashes down on top of her with her knees. Ronda ends up stuck on the top rope and Alexa drop kicks her for yet another 2 count. This match has been all Alexa for the last 5 minutes. Ronda tries to start a comeback, but Bliss quickly drop kicks her again and then sends her into the corner. Alexa is actually looking like a real threat now as she stretches Ronda around the ring pole. Alexa's friends get involved, but Natalia takes them out. Ronda uses this as an opportunity to wake up. Both women crash together for the double down. Ronda's awake now and she tries a couple of pinning attempts before she takes another kick. She's clearly been practicing new moves. Alexa's being goofy and suddenly she doesn't seem like such a threat anymore. Ronda then hits a fucking gut-wrench powerbomb out of nowhere. I've got a really good feeling about this Ring of the Hawk run. Is anyone else feeling like we finally found our first day? Ronda hits a throw and tries to finish her off in the corner. Alexa Bliss kicks her off again. Then Ronda hits another new move. I have no idea what it was, but it was beautiful. Ronda puts on the armbar and Bliss taps. Love this one. She's so impressive and she's adding new stuff every match. You never know what she's going to pull out of her locker. She also managed to make Alexa look somewhat credible at times. Yeah. Yet another A. New Jack, beware. Match 7, the Bella Twins accompany Ronda Rousey to take on Ruby Riott with the Riott Squad. Ronda starts out strong and Ruby has to bail to see her little friends. Ruby comes in but she gets taken down again and tries to bail, but Ronda gets straight after her. Ruby uses this as a chance to take advantage and she sends her into the crowd barrier. Ruby gets a 1 count. Ruby Riott is dominant and she grinds Ronda's head into the mat of her knee. Ruby is wrestling an aggressive style and it seems to be working for her. Ronda tries to fight back with punches to the gut, but she gets thrown into the mat for a 2 count. Ruby then hits a headbutt and a slam to the mat again for another 2. Ruby Riott looks for a kick, but Ronda catches her leg and throws overhead. Ronda's woken up now and she tries to hit a gut-wrench powerbomb, but almost drops her. She just about saves her though. Ronda hits a drop kick to the friends outside and then she gets rolled up. It's one of the closest threes I've ever seen, but it's not. Ronda hits a big-time slam and she locks on the armbar to end the match. It wasn't her best match. Ronda seems to look better when she's dominant. It's a C. Match 8, WWE Super Showdown. Is this a real pay-per-view? I don't know, I've never heard of it before. Whatever, let's do it just to be safe. 6-woman tag. The Riott Squad, Ruby Riott, Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan versus the Bella Twins and Ronda Rousey, who gets an amazing reaction in Australia. Ronda wants to start the match, but Nikki Bella doesn't let her and she automatically proves to have made the wrong choice. Ronda really wants to tag, but she gets ignored. The Bellas keep ignoring Ronda as the crowd boo. The match is almost over and Ronda hasn't even been in the ring. What a wasted trip to Australia, and that's a long-ass trip. Nikki is isolated for ages and she finally brings Ronda in. She hits a rolling clothesline and a bunch of high-impact throws. She hits a Green Bay plunge on Ruby and a Firewoman's carry slam. The match then breaks down. Ronda tries to put on the armbar, but Liv Morgan breaks it up. The Riott Squad tries to double team Ronda, who arm drags both of them. She puts on a double armbar and they both tap out. Awesome ending. It sometimes looks stupid when someone puts on a double submission, but this time it looked painful. The match was heading for an S, but she really made quite the impact in the last 2 minutes. It was still a wasted trip though. I wouldn't go all the way to Australia just for a C. Match 9, 6-woman tag match. It's the same match again, except Ronda gets the jobber treatment for some reason. The Bellas do not though. It's not what you know, but who you know. They take on the Riott Squad again. Again, the Bellas don't let Ronda start the match. Ronda gets in a bit sooner though this time and throws Sarah Logan across the ring. Then she intimidates the rest of the Riott Squad. Then we go to the advert break and she's gone. After 8 minutes, she gets back in again against Ruby Riott, who almost rolls her up. Rousey retaliates and flips her across the ring. Rousey hits the Firewoman slam and puts on the armbar to end the match. It was somehow worse than the last match and she needn't have bothered. Then it gets interesting as the Bellas turn on Ronda. So I guess this will be a new feud. Ronda fights them off but then gets sent into the steel post. The match is a D, nothing to see here, moving on quickly. She better buck her ideas up if she wants to be our first date. Match 10, Evolution. Raw Women's title match. The challenger Nikki Bella with Brie Bella versus the champion Ronda Rousey. The arena is pitch black, it looks like the virus is already here. Ronda takes the Bella down straight away as she looks like she's gonna cry. Ronda takes her down again and she teases the armbar but she's just playing with her. Then Ronda shows that she could do it again. Ronda takes her down for a third time and Nikki bails to the outside and the Bellas get the advantage. Brie sends Ronda into the post. Nikki dominates the next part of the match and keeps throwing Ronda into the crowd barrier. Nikki tries to put on her leg scissors around Ronda's neck and she even has time to mess around with some push-ups. Ronda kicks her off eventually but Brie takes another cheap shot from the outside. I suddenly realised at this point that it felt like the shine was coming off Ronda Rousey. She eventually throws Nikki off her back in a rough way. Nikki takes her straight back down with a springboard kick. Ronda has gone from dominating everyone and even beating up Triple H, and now she can barely land a punch on a Bella. It's just inconsistent, you know? Ronda gets kicked off the top rope, but she fights off the suplex attempt. She tries a crossbody but completely misses. The crowd are cheering Nikki Bella here too. For the first time they aren't behind Ronda. There's an awkward moment by the ropes and Ronda gets a breather. Nikki tries a kick but Ronda blocks it and hits a single leg takedown. Then she flawlessly rolls through and picks Nikki up on her back. Then she stacks Brie on top of Nikki and hits a double Death Valley driver, shades of Eric Young. Ronda's woken up now and she hits a whole bunch of throws. Nikki tries to shield in the corner but it doesn't help her. Ronda then hits a big throw across the ring. Brie tries to get involved again but she gets brutally thrown down across the commentary desk. Ronda tries to come back and finish it but Nikki Bella hits an Alabama slam out of nowhere for a 2. Nikki hits another high impact move now with the crack attack, but it's only a 2. This is the most we've seen Ronda get dominated so far. They start fighting on the top with Ronda hitting a lovely arm drag off the top. I used to use that move in SmackDown too, I swear. Rolling back the years there. Armbar, it's over. This one's tricky to judge. She's definitely better when she dominates the match, but it was a highly competitive back and forth match. She continues to try and add new moves, giving it a B, but will it be an A overall? Wait and see. Match 11, Survivor Series 2018, Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey. This one should be good. Both women try strikes but they can't land them. Then they do land some but neither woman goes down. Both women start frantically brawling but then Charlotte shoves Rousey down. They both start some beautiful counters. It's really great to see how far women's wrestling has come when I watch these two. Charlotte scores a headlock takeover and hits the first high impact move by sending Ronda into the bottom turnbuckle. Charlotte hits a lovely fallaway slam for a 2 count. Flair starts working on Ronda's leg to set her up for her finisher. During the submission, she elbows Ronda in the face to bust her open. Ronda eventually knocks her down. Ronda tries to go high risk, but Flair kicks her, but Ronda fights off the superplex attempt. Ronda rolls through with an armbar, but Flair keeps rolling and almost pins her. This one has a big fight feel to it. Charlotte eventually turns it into a Boston Crab, and then she tries the figure 4, but Ronda fights it off, but then Charlotte kicks her back down. Charlotte Flair hits a backbreaker in the corner and a simple boot to the face. Charlotte Flair tries a moonsault, but Ronda gets her feet up. She hits her with the Green Bay plunge and tries to fire the crowd up. Charlotte Flair then lands a spear out of nowhere for a 2 count that almost made the crowd get unhinged. Charlotte finally manages to lock on the figure 4, but unfortunately for Charlotte, Ronda reverses the pressure and both women collapse on the outside of the ring. Ronda wakes up and viciously throws her into the barrier. Back in the ring, Ronda Rousey starts throwing her around. Charlotte isn't finished though because she fights back with chops. Charlotte has certainly had the better of this match. The crowd start chanting, "This is awesome." Charlotte tries a scoop slam but Ronda beautifully rolls through. Charlotte immediately bells. Then Ronda hits her slam, which has finally been given the name of the Piper's Pit. Ronda wants the armbar again, but they spill to the outside. This match is a technical masterpiece. Then it all goes wrong. Charlotte decides to start smacking her with her stick. The referee calls for the bell. Charlotte goes nuts with the kendo stick. Hardcore Hack would be impressed. Charlotte then wants to hit her with the chair, but the referee stops her. He's half her size. Then Charlotte sneaks back into the ring and hits the natural selection on a steel chair. Charlotte Flair wants to end Ronda's career and she stamps on a steel chair whilst it's around Ronda's neck. The whole thing was really great and I hope we get to see another match between these two. I mean, we should after a beatdown like that. It's another A, best match so far. We were due another A. The crowd chant "Thank you, Charlotte." I'm not sure this is the effect they were going for. So you might think that Ronda would be out injured after that, but she's not. She's just out on the next episode of Raw looking pretty much fine. She cuts a promo saying that she's facing Nia Jax on the next pay-per-view. I know she's on a different show to Charlotte, but that makes no sense. She says that somehow, someway, she's going to find Charlotte Flair at some point. Why doesn't she just go to SmackDown? I'm sure she'll find her, no problem. Match 12, Raw Women's title match. Ronda Rousey versus Mickie James. Mickie throws her jacket at Ronda, but she throws it straight back at her. I wouldn't want that piece of trash either. Ronda tries to beat Mickie up in the corner, but she gets a kick. Mickie is relentless with her kicks. I can understand her being the underdog in this match after the beating Charlotte gave her. Ronda hits 3 throws and then quickly hits the Piper's Pit. Then she hits another one. Armbar, it's over. Nothing is going to feel good after that Charlotte match, but I guess it gave her some credibility. It's a C, she gets a lot out of a 3-minute match. Match 13, tag match. Nia Jax and Tamina versus Ronda Rousey and Ember Moon, who arrives late whilst Ronda gets jumped. Ronda hits a diving forearm off the ring apron on Nia Jax. Ronda only wants to fight Nia, but she's too scared. It's not much of a match, but we do get a new move. Ronda hits a massive step-up knee to Tamina. Ember Moon hits the Eclipse from the top rope and Ronda puts on the armbar for the tap-out win. We're 13 matches in and she's still undefeated. I wonder if she'll make it the whole way through. That would be a Ring of the Hawk first. It's a D. Match 14, TLC 2018, Raw Women's title. The challenger, Nia Jax with Tamina versus the champion, Ronda Rousey. Nia threatens to smack her one, but Ronda catches her fist and puts on the armbar. It's too early for that though, and Nia hits a big-time powerbomb. Nia squashes her in the corner and hits an elbow drop, shades of Big Daddy V. Nia sends Ronda into the post and follows up by charging and shunting her arm into the ring post. Nia tries a leg drop but misses that. That would have been like a ladder falling on you. Ronda shows some nice power as the crowd go nuts. Ronda Rousey doesn't want to release the submission, so Nia slams her into the barrier. Seemed fair to me. Jax locks on a Cobra clutch and tries another powerbomb, but Ronda reverses it with the head scissors. It's now Jax's turn to crash into the ring pole. Ronda goes up top and hits a crossbody to the outside perfectly. She's such an athlete. Ronda gets a 2 count. Ronda then goes nuts and hits a step-up knee. She hits a super punch for a 2 count. Rousey then hits another crossbody, but Nia rolls through and powers her into the air to hit a Samoan drop, and she isn't even Samoan. It's just a 2 count though. Nia then tries to hit a top rope Samoan drop, but Ronda fights it off with a sunset flip powerbomb. Somehow that's only a 2. Nia tries a punch, but Ronda takes her down as the crowd go nuts, and Ronda makes her tap out. She's still adding more and more to her moveset. It's crazy how much she's trying. I give it a B, only because I've seen the armbar so many times now it's starting to lose its effects on me. Some knockout victories would be cool and they'd suit her. Match 15, Tribute to the Troops 2018, Submission Triple Threat Tag Match. Ronda Rousey teams up with her cat-loving friend Natalia. I miss her farting gimmick. Versus Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan with Ruby Riott. Versus Nia Jax and Tamina. Bradshaw on commentary says they're like the female version of the APA. How is it like the APA? Rousey takes Sarah Logan down and Liv Morgan doesn't do better before Natalia comes in to double team with her. Natalia struggles and gets isolated for an age. She eventually makes the tag as Rousey hits a rolling clothesline and some judo throws. The Riott Squad try a double team. We've seen this before. Double arm drag, double arm bar, double tap out. I'm not sure if this match counts for Ring of the Hawk, but it wasn't great and we've seen that exact ending before, so it's an S. Ronda cuts a heartfelt promo to thank the troops after, so I'll bump it up to a D for showing a human side. Match 16, Raw Women's title, the challenger Natalia versus the champion Ronda Rousey. No rivalries here, just good old friends. Ronda seems to be a bit off her game here and she doesn't want to fight her friend. Ronda gets a 2 on a shoulder block. Ronda then shows her lovely submission moves here, but she seems to be able to get her opponent from any situation. Rousey takes her down for another 2. Natalia finally does something with a leg takedown and puts on a deathlock. Ronda quickly counters this. Ronda then puts the leg scissors around Natalia, but she stands up and sends her overhead. Natalia wants to get a sharpshooter on, but Ronda sends her out the ring and she looks concerned for her. That's the storyline here, she doesn't want to hurt her friend. She won't go to the next level. Natalia puts on a lovely submission of her own as Rousey looks like she's crying. She eventually counters it, but quickly eats a dropkick. Natalia hits a big suplex and then she slaps Ronda. I think she's getting annoyed with her for holding back. Ronda finally fires up and she hits the big running knee for a 2 count. She tries another one but is almost rolled up by Natalia. Natty hits a lovely spinning clothesline for another 2. Out of nowhere, Ronda Rousey hits the Piper's Pit. She hesitates on the armbar and it almost costs her as Natalia puts her in the sharpshooter. Why does Natalia smile so much? She isn't smiling for much longer though as Ronda fights out of it and puts on the armbar for the win. Really nice character work here, it's a nice change. They stay friends after the match and no one turns on each other. Vince Russo was not present. Don't see that often, it's a B. This video is starting to get on the long side. I can already tell that this is the longest Ring of the Hawk episode of all time, so I'm going to focus on key parts of the match only going forward. It helps that I feel like I've already seen the next match 3 times already at this point. Match 17, tag match, Nia Jax and Tamina versus Natalya and Ronda Rousey. Highlight is Ronda hitting a top rope crossbody to her 2 opponents on the outside. Ronda hits an elbow for a 2 count after being out of the match for a while. Nia isn't down yet though, and she gives her a press slam for a 2 count. Tamina almost beats her with a super kick. She's been a bit of a non-factor in this video. Tamina looks for the top rope splash, but Ronda blocks it and then she wins with the armbar. It's a C, I barely paid attention to this one, but it looked fine. Match 18, tag match, Ronda Rousey and Sasha Banks versus Nia Jax and Tamina. So sick of seeing these two at this point. Ronda doesn't even do anything at all in this one. Sasha wins it on her own with the crossface. It's an S for Ronda. Match 19, tag match, Ronda Rousey and Natalia versus Sasha Banks and Bayley. Sasha starts out cutting a promo about Ronda being handed everything in wrestling and she takes a cheap shot. Rousey and Natalia hit the heart attack on Bayley while Sasha seems a bit scared of her. Ronda tries to end it early but Sasha reverses it with a back slide. Then she applies the crossface but Natalia makes the save. Ronda tries to smash Banks but she gets a kick to the face instead. Ronda then completely batters Bayley in the corner. She tries a big knee but Bayley catches her and drags her over to Sasha. She hits a double axe handle but Ronda puts on the armbar and she rolls around like warthogs in mud. Banks fights off the armbar with a kick. Then something happens for the first time on this video that we haven't seen yet. Ronda is on the losing side for the first time as her partner Natalia taps out to the crossface. Clunky and boring match, it's a D. Match 20, Royal Rumble 2019, Raw Women's title, the challenger Sasha Banks versus the champion Ronda Rousey. Sasha counters the first takedown and looks very confident. Rousey turns it around and hits the 3 suplexes, shades of Eddie Guerrero. The match gets heated pretty quickly. Ronda tries to smack her outside the ring but she connects with the ring pole instead and Banks hits a suicide dive on her. They come back to the ring and Ronda hits a big running elbow for a 2 count. Banks hits a fake looking arm drag and then gets a 2 count of her own. She starts to get frustrated. Ronda tries to hit a Piper's Pit, but Sasha rolls through and puts on an armbar of her own. It's obviously not as good though, as Rousey doesn't tap out. She switches to a crossface, but that doesn't seem to have much effect either, because Ronda gets straight back up and hits a Piper's Pit. What happens next is pretty cool, as Ronda takes her first ever superplex for a 2 count. Ronda Rousey then hits her with 3 arm drags, which usually sets up the armbar, but Banks sends her out of the ring. Banks tries to dive on her on the outside, but she gets caught and Ronda puts the armbar on her on the outside of the ring. She can't win the match this way. Both women knee each other in the face, but the match continues. The ladies are down shattered. Sasha ends up putting a crossface on and she keeps trying to roll her up for the pin. Ronda eventually wins the match with a Piper's Pit, but the story here was that her arm was too injured to apply the armbar, so she didn't bother. It was a good match, but I felt a bit bored at times. This one's a B. Match 21, Raw Women's title, Open Challenge, Ronda Rousey versus Bayley. Ronda looks to end it quickly, but Bayley makes the ropes. Ronda isn't messing around and uses an armbar across the ropes. As she comes back in, Bayley gives her a cutter across the ropes. Ronda tweaks her knee and Bayley zeroes in on that. Ronda Rousey just can't hit her normal moves. The fight spills outside and Bayley gives her a belly to belly into the crowd barrier, pretty cool. Bayley gets her in the ring and hits a top rope elbow. She doesn't make the pin though and instead puts on a crossface until Ronda makes the ropes. The crowd are firmly behind Bayley here. There's loud audible boos for Ronda. She eventually wins with a lucky armbar from the top. It's like a C or something, I guess. Ronda's so beaten up at this point, surely this run isn't going to go on much longer for her. She hasn't got anything left to sell, for God's sake. Match 22, Liv Morgan with the Riot Squad versus Ronda Rousey. Liv Morgan is scared and keeps wasting time. She's just messing around and trying to throw Ronda off her game. Liv finally does something and she tries to bridge backwards and dodge a Ronda strike, but instead she gets a punch to the gut and an armbar. It's over. It wasn't much of a match, it's an S. Ronda's in a bad mood and she asks who else wants some, and Sarah Logan does, so straight into match 23. Logan powers her into the corner, but that's pretty much all she manages though, as Ronda also taps her out in a few minutes. Their little leader is too scared to fight though. What a loser, it's a D. Later on, in that same episode of Monday Night Raw, swear I'm not making this up, a wild Slapnuts appears. That night, Jeff Jarrett would wrestle his one and only WWE return match. Isn't it crazy how good old Slappy always pops up? Don't you just love him? Match 24, Elimination Chamber 2018, Raw Women's title, Ruby Riott the challenger, not sure how she got this match, versus the champion Ronda Rousey. Ronda wins the match with the Piper's Pit and the armbar in about 2 minutes. Rubbish pay-per-view match. At least Charlotte's back now. They're interrupted by Becky Lynch on crutches, who has a future title shot coming up. She beats up Charlotte with a crutch whilst Ronda watches. Then Becky assaults Ronda with the crutch and the crowd enjoy that as well. The match was pointless and it's an S. This run is taking a sudden turn for the worst. Match 25, Raw Women's title, Ruby Riott with the Riott Squad versus Ronda Rousey. This is starting to get repetitive. Well, it's better than their last match on pay-per-view for some reason. Ruby almost upsets her multiple times. The closest attempt comes from a cannonball from the middle rope. Actually, I tell a lie, a Riott kick from the top is an even closer pin. The Riott Squad keep getting involved and Ronda tries to take them down with a dive to the outside, but it doesn't look great. Ronda puts on the armbar for the tap-out victory. It's a D. Now let's have some more serious competition. Match 26, tag match, the Riott Squad versus Natalia and Ronda Rousey. I don't care to see any 4 of these women in a match again. It's just Ronda Rousey beating them in the same way every match. The match is thrown out because Becky Lynch attacks them. It's an S. Match 27, Raw Women's title match, the challenger Dana Brooke versus Ronda Rousey. Ronda knees her in the face and puts the armbar on and it's over in 20 seconds. Ronda doesn't want to let go of the hold and she looks like a bit of a dick now. She takes out the security and her husband has to carry her away. It's another S. You can see why people started getting annoyed with her around this time. Match 28, Beat the Clock Challenge, Ronda Rousey versus Sarah Logan. Elbow to the face followed by the armbar and it's over in 1 minute 25 seconds. Charlotte doesn't manage to beat the clock against Ruby Riott, but Becky Lynch does manage to beat the clock against Liv Morgan. It's another S, who cares? Match 29, 6 women's tag. Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey are forced to team up together to take on the Job Squad. None of them get on and it gives the Job Squad a chance before Ronda makes Liv tap out in seconds. I hope you like these 3 because it's the main event for WrestleMania. It's an S. Match 30, final match, WrestleMania triple threat with both women titles on the line. All 3 women get a special entrance. Charlotte Flair gets a lift and a helicopter whilst looking like the plastic is melting off her face. In an age where everything is accepted now, can we please have the ladies go back to looking natural? I don't know who decided that this look was attractive, but let the Hawk tell you ladies, you're all beautiful as you are. To look your best, follow the Hawk's 3 E's. Exercise, eating and exfoliate. Trust me ladies, you don't need to fill your face with plastic. Nobody would give you hate, and if anything, you might get a date. Ronda Rousey gets a special musical entrance. We also get more of Charlotte Flair. Becky doesn't get a special entrance though, because I guess she's not a champion. Ronda starts out viciously driving Becky into the crowd barrier and giving Charlotte a Piper's Pit on the outside on the floor. She tries to do the same to Becky, but she gets shoved into the pole. Ronda comes back into the match and she climbs up Charlotte to knee Becky in the face. Charlotte and Becky try to do a double powerbomb to Ronda, but she ends up turning it around with the armbar across the ropes. She then takes a brutal tumble to the outside as Becky dropkicks her. Becky looks like she has the match won, but Ronda scrambles into the ring to make the save. She tries to put the armbar on her, but she gets kneed by Charlotte. Ronda then tells Charlotte she chops like a bitch, so she chops her in her big mouth. Charlotte Flair puts on a Boston Crab on Ronda, but Becky makes the save. Becky then takes both women out at the same time for a couple of 2 counts. Later on, Ronda goes high risk for a 2 count. She tries a double armbar to finish it, but instead she gets double powerbombed. Not once, not twice, but thrice, and it sure wasn't nice. Charlotte very almost puts her away with that. Ronda's having a hard time in this one, and Becky almost makes her tap out. She eventually powers out of it. Charlotte comes back in and almost suplexes her out of her boots. Ronda's leg looks like roadkill, and Charlotte makes it worse with the figure 4 around the ring pole. In the ring, Charlotte tries another one, but this time Ronda rolls her up with a small package for a 2 count. Charlotte puts her figure 8 submission on, but Becky makes a save with a leg drop. A table gets put in the ring, but Ronda doesn't want to use it. Charlotte hits a double spear, but can't pin either lady. Ronda has a change of heart and almost sends Charlotte through the table in the corner, but it doesn't break. Ronda then hits Becky with a Shining Wizard and a Piper's Pit. Suddenly out of nowhere, Becky reverses it into a pin and it's over. The undefeated streak is over a year after it started, and so is this video. First of all, it's cool to see a women's main event at WrestleMania for the first time, although I don't know if that's strictly true as there was one man in this match. Now to grade this final match. I don't want to go too overboard. It was good, it was great, but it wasn't legendary. I'm giving it a B, there's no need to P. Now for the most important part of this video, there's only one thing left to do. Are we about to crown our first ever Queen of the Hawk? After toing and throwing on my nest at Bridgewater Bay all night, I've made the decision to lump the ladies in with the men, as the Hawk's a progressive guy after all. And besides, what's she gonna do? Be champion of a women's division that just has Stephanie McMahon in it? Not much competition there. So overall, we saw 4 A's and I believe 7 B's, and some of those B's could have probably been A's. I'm so split over this because the New Jack TNA run is legendary to the Shove It squad and it feels painful to topple it. But then again, if this isn't an A, I doubt anything ever will be. I have to look at the potential negatives here as well. The first half of her run was pretty good, but then it got repetitive. It wasn't like she was doing badly, but it was just the same thing over and over again. That section where she battled the Riot Squad over and over was hard to get through. It certainly wasn't entertaining. She could have really done with a proper blow-off match with Charlotte when the crowd still liked her, but we never got it. A missed opportunity. The fact is, New Jack's run was more entertaining, but it was also a lot shorter. Oh, I'm so torn. It's like comparing apples and oranges. Screw it, let's let Ronda Rousey be crowned the Queen of the Hawk, but at the same time, I'm going to bump New Jack up for his time in TNA to an honourable A. That way, everybody goes home happy. The Hawk likes smiles, and if you don't agree with that, I'll fly at your face and make you run for miles.